Hey there, welcome back to the Working Actor on Casting Workbook. I'm Natasha Gargiulo, your host, and this week we've got a real treat for all of you actors who are tuning in globally. We have a New York Times best-selling author and a real Canadian gem. I might be a little biased because I'm from Montreal, but I've been following Sarah Fisher's career for a long time, and I am so excited to introduce all of you to Karen Kingsbury, who is the #1 New York Times bestselling author, and Sarah Fisher on The Working Actor today to talk about their upcoming film, Someone Like You. Welcome, ladies, to the show.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us. So excited to be here.
It's so great to have you both here. I mean, we don't often get a New York Times bestselling author, right, on the Casting Workbook network, and also for the working actors who are tuning in to kind of see such a great success story from someone, you know, who started here in Canada and now is like expanding her acting career with this amazing film that is going to touch so many people's hearts. So I want to kick it off with Karen. Karen, you've written so many great love stories, so many great novels. Why was Someone Like You the book that needed to be made into a motion picture?
Well, I figured the big screen needed a big concept. And so the theme behind this, I mean, or an aspect of the story certainly is embryo adoption. And I didn't know about that. It's kind of why I often write about things that I don't understand or can't imagine. And embryo adoption was one of those things. So once I had heard about it, then, you know, the wheels start turning. And then for me, it's like God puts a movie on my heart, and it became obvious that this was going to be the first theatrical from Karen Kingsbury Productions, because this is our first movie. It has great cinematography, lakes, you know, jet skis. And to me, it was like a story that you want to live in, and you can only do that in the theaters.
Yeah. How challenging or easy was it for you to kind of give life to these characters? Because here you are, you're creating these characters on the page, but now you're actually giving them life with some real people and some great actors. So how was that transition?
Well, we hired a casting director because we wanted it to be very professional. I think my one kind of statement to everyone on our team early on was this has to look gorgeous. It has to look like a $30 million movie. And every aspect had to be excellent. So it was tricky. We actually looked at about 3,000 girls. Our female lead, the women that we interviewed and auditioned, at least 3,000 before we found Sarah. And when we found Sarah, it was like we have found our Andy London, because she's playing two characters.
Yeah.
And not many people can do that and differentiate between the two so keenly like Sarah Fisher did. She is phenomenally talented. I just feel like we were very, very blessed to get to have her and know her before the whole world has her up there at the very highest level.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Sarah, when you received the script and you went into that audition, first of all, when you received the script, what was your first impression of it?
Oh, I was so excited. I was so excited because Karen just so brilliantly crafted these two characters who are just so beautifully quirky and so different. But again, there's, they've got this little sparkle in both of them that coexists. And so it's so exciting as an actor to dive into such a three-dimensional, interesting character, let alone to be able to dive into two. And it was such a great challenge because, it's that fine line of how can I make sure that they're clearly two different human beings, but at their core, they share something. And what is that thing? And how do they walk into rooms differently? How do they laugh differently? How do they, in this interview, like London would probably have her feet up on, like shoes on, untied on the desk. Whereas, Andy would be a little more back up straight. Like, how do they even, in the details of how they talk, Andy speaks in a bit of a higher register, and London's a little bit kind of lazier almost with how she talks. And Tyler Russell, the director, did such an incredible job on making sure that we were staying very consistent with these two girls, because that was, again, a very exciting challenge as an actor, but a challenge for sure.
Now, I just want to give people, if you haven't read the book or you haven't seen the trailer yet, the movie is opening up nationwide April 2nd. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on it. So it's a beautiful love story about these two best friends. And obviously he's an architect. His name is Dawson Cage, and he's he's in love with his best friend, and she tragically dies. And then he finds out that she has a twin sister, and he goes out to find her, and then I guess he didn't realize he was also going to find love at the same time. So it's a great story, and I want to know that when you walked into the audition process, what were both of your reactions when A, you had to audition for this role, and B, when you did see Sarah and you realized, yeah, she's the one?
Yeah, I mean, for us, so we had her taped audition first. And I had a few people that that really respect in the United States that are movie makers, and some that are good enough friends that I could just be like, hey, I'm going to flip my camera around, watch this audition. What do you think? And I tested that out with two different people. One was a different casting director than ours, the one we were using, and another one was a producer. And I just showed them her taped audition, and both of them said the same thing. She's going to be a star. So I was like, okay, because it's resonating with me. It's landing on my heart. So that I just wanted to see that my peers felt the same way about her. And they were just like chills. They like, this girl, like she's got chops, like she's ready.
Yeah. Sarah, did you feel that the role was yours?
You know, it's this interesting thing in the world of being an actor where really the only time a character ever gets to be mine is in the 30, 45, 60 minutes that I tape and audition them, right? So I think for me, that's the only time I get to really call them mine and do, and, you know, bring in the things that make me quirky and different and whatever it is. I really only get the audition experience to do that. And unless I book it, that's the moment where I get to go, this is mine for the next hour. And I was so excited to do that with these characters. And with the chemistry read, you know, I had Karen, Tyler, and Jake, who plays Dawson Gage, on the call with me. And I was shooting another movie at the time in Florida. So we had to do the chemistry read on the computer. You know, we weren't able to do that in person. And honestly, it's one of those things where it just felt like magic the whole way through. There was so much love on the call, which sounds funny to say because it's like, it seems so disgenuine, but it was like there was no computer there. It was the scene we were doing that Jake and I had to do together. One of them was really heartbreaking, and our hearts broke both. I think we did the scene twice. Both times it was just there was a sparkle. There was something between all of us that really I left the experience, the whole audition experience, being like, that was an absolute blast and a half, which is so funny for actors because we're bawling and we're upset and we're so sad in these scenes. And after I was like, that was so fun. It was a pleasure. They just made the whole experience really, really supportive and full of love, which was it was just such a great experience.
So that chemistry was oozing out over Zoom. And I can just imagine what the chemistry was like when it was in person, when you're finally on set. What kind of research did you do? Because, you know, when you realize that you're reading a script that is from a New York Times bestseller, and she knows what she's talking about when it comes to romance and relationships and heartbreak and emotions and all that stuff. So what kind of research did you do as an actor to prepare yourself for this?
Well, one was researching Karen Kingsbury, who I adore and now call my second mom.
Oh.
Researching her career and the incredible career and journey that she's had. And of course, I read the book. And that in and of itself that's all of it. That's the heart, that's the soul, that's Karen's beautiful art that she's able to do so seamlessly. It's, of course, it's so hard and challenging, I'm sure, but she just does it so beautifully. Like everything in her mind and in her heart just pours onto the page. And reading the book gave me a really great idea of the world we were living in and the characters and their heart, their core, who they are. And then it just goes into the research as an actor, which is really diving deep into every little detail of how these two women show up. Mm-hmm. You know, these two young women, how do they enter a room? Again, how do they laugh? How do they sit? How do they talk with their families? What are they like if they're upset? What are they like? All of it. It was just diving deep into both of them. And such a huge, huge part of finding these characters was the hair, makeup, and wardrobe process. So many incredible, brilliant, talented people were involved in those teams. And honestly, the second I get into Andy's shoes, they're like nice, proper with a bow kind of feel, or like she's got these really amazing sets, like this blazer skirt, like set. And then you get into London and she's wearing an oversized t-shirt with a long sleeve underneath and like, you know, like huge shoes with her like shoelaces all untied. And I'm so in love with both of them because they're just beautiful people. They're beautiful characters. But yeah, even coming down to the hair, makeup, and wardrobe, that was another part of the work that when we found the right look for both of them and how different they were, it was like icing on top of a cake, but the cake that has icing all around it.
Karen, I'm assuming it was a little challenging to pick the parts in the book that you really wanted to bring to life, or was everything in the book brought to life in the movie, or were there some parts that were omitted?
No, some had to be omitted. You know, you're looking at an 80,000 word book versus a 90-page script with, you know, double spaced and with margins that are 3 inches on each side. So you really had to narrow it down. And one way we found to do that, the accident takes up a lot more in the book. Andy actually, or London, who's in the accident, she actually lives a lot longer in the book.
Oh.
So yeah, we have like, you know, hospital scenes and people at her bedside and her saying some really beautiful things, but scope of the story, like when you're trying to be like, let's keep people moving, let's keep the story driving forward, we didn't need it. So she doesn't live as long, you know, in the movie, we couldn't do that. But, you know, when it came to seeing like the things, what really mattered was, did we have chemistry between Jake Allen and Sarah Fisher to play these roles? And we did do our chem read. It's true. We did that over Zoom. Everyone was like LA. You were like were you in Canada?
I was in Florida.
Florida filming. You were filming in Florida.
Yeah.
I was in California. We were in Nashville. And so we had this, you know, on Zoom. But what I love is the director, Tyler Russell, requested extra budget to bring Sarah and Jake into Nashville. Was it 3 or 4 days early? Something like that?
We had actually, I think it was almost 2 weeks when I got there before we started filming. We had such a long, it was incredible. Yeah, it was amazing.
What you don't normally get to see with a movie is rehearsal time. But Tyler has a history in doing theater directing as well as film directing. And he said, I just can't even imagine rolling camera without, there's no way we're meeting, you know, for the first time on, you know, all right, our stand-ins have done their job, now come into your places and let's roll. He said, we have to rehearse. There was the accident scene, they were rehearsing that. You know, we used my house as the production office. Because again, this was our first production. We were using our savings to do it, like no money, but we wanted the movie to look like a $30 million movie. So that I felt that time, that prep, like you talked about prep, Natasha, that actually paid huge dividends because they had a chemistry. By the time we were rolling camera, they were friends.
Yeah. And you do feel like there is this big family environment and chemistry on screen. I'm sure it was like that off screen too. I'm sure you guys, like you said, you're like her second mom now. So I'm wondering, I'm wondering if there were any more of these behind the scenes fun moments or stories that you can share with us. Do you guys still all keep in touch?
I mean, we keep in touch with Sarah all the time. Sarah keeps in touch with us. She'll be like, I miss you. Let's have peppermint tea.
Yeah.
We have so much fun.
It was such an incredible, from the cast to the crew to the production team to every single human involved in this production. Honestly, I love and adore so much. It's one of those projects where everyone was so personally invested in the story. And I think when people care so much and it's not just about the job and it's a job and it's work and it's this, when people are so personally invested and feel like they're a part of something bigger, that, you know, you're sharing this story with the world that's going to make people leave feeling good and feeling butterflies and all the things.
Yeah.
Everyone just, it's impossible not to have such a strong love between everybody. I've kept in touch with so many people, cast and crew, who honestly, like the actors are just so incredible as well. Like the second we had to, you know, because family, you have to have chemistry with your family. They're your family. And I have these 2 sets of families with just these amazing actors who I adore. And I'm still in touch with all of them. And the second we got there, we just like shook hands. We were like, hi, hello, hello. And we were taking pictures as if we were doing family portraits. And it was like it's like I'd known them since birth. It was incredible. Like it was really one of those sets where it just happened so easily in that way. Everyone just kind of fell in love with each other.
Now, Sarah, you in Canada and globally, you are known for being in Degrassi, The Next Generation. And I know that you also have a real talent for singing. Did you know that you were required to sing in the film as well?
I knew that there was one moment where there was possibly going to be singing, I think. I think that was always in the script, was it's this one moment between me and my dad, and he starts to sing, and this is Andy coming to meet her biological parents, and he starts to sing and she starts to sing, and they have this beautiful moment of connection. And so I knew there was going to be a moment, and such a beautiful moment with Scott too, who's just so incredible and has such an amazing voice, and I adore him. And it's such a great moment where they almost discover this connection that they have. And I love singing. I've been doing it my whole life. So it's always so fun when both the worlds I'm in love with collide some way. And they seem to a lot, which I'm really, very lucky and grateful for that, for sure.
Yeah, well, this film, it really does have a feel-good moment at the end. I mean, you feel great watching it and you walk away with like a lot of life lessons. Um, we have a global audience that tunes in from around the world, and they like to get inspired by these stories and some insight from actors and directors and now novelists and authors who are making their dreams come true, right? So what advice could you give the actors that are tuning in right now about pursuing your dreams, and especially with acting? And now, I mean, Karen, aside from being a #1 New York Times bestseller, you're producing films and you're making movies. So what would be your advice to people who are tuning in right now?
I mean, for me, I would say you have to go for the dream. Like there's a sign outside my husband and myself outside of our bedroom that says just one life, just one life. And
Mm.
my dad used to say, life is not a dress rehearsal. You get one chance to write the story of your life, and let's make that one a bestseller, right?
Ah,
Take the leap, make the jump, get the training, go the extra, I mean, don't give up on it, because it's always going to be that thing that's just around the corner. Now sure, sometimes there's a point where people say, it's not what I want to do anymore. That's fine. But if it's what you want to do and you're called to it, every day is a gift. Let's make every day count toward that dream.
I love that. Sarah, what kind of advice would you like to give to everyone tuning in?
The first piece of advice, no matter what it is, but especially for my actors out there, because I love all of you, because I love what we do so much. My biggest, first and foremost, it's just do not stop. Don't stop doing what you love. Keep doing what you love. Keep finding ways to feed that hungry side of you that wants to get on set, that wants to audition, that wants to work. I promise it's coming. And the other thing I think as well is I believe that the biggest block between us and that beautiful, exciting, huge dream that we have is ourselves. And the great thing about that is we have complete control over that. So recognizing that it's not anything other than ourselves makes us go, oh, I get to be in the driver's seat then. I get to be the one driving my life and what I want, and I can create that reality. And you can. And it's not to say, we all, of course, myself included, we go through the up and down of busy, not busy. Like that is sort of a part of the industry. But in the not busy, find what feeds that side of you, because I know it's not just work, it's a part of who you are, because it's such a beautiful side of everybody is that side of them, what excites them. And so yeah, my big thing is keep going, do not stop, feed the hunger every time you're in the downtimes when it's quiet, and know that that's something great is going to come if you keep working at it, do the work. And that you are the one in the driver's seat. You have complete control in an industry where it's easy to feel like we don't.
Mhm.
You have complete control over working so hard to be great at what you do, and create opportunities for yourself where you see them. If you want to write a script, write a script. You've never done it before, that's okay.
Mhm.
We all have to start with something. So yeah, just whatever you love, keep doing that and know that you're going to shine.
That's very motivating and inspiring, because it's been a tough couple of years, especially for actors. I mean, with
Yeah.
COVID, and then with the SAG actor strike, and then just with this whole industry kind of being unstable. I feel like there's this kind of rebirth and this revival, and people are wanting to make their
Yeah.
dreams come true. So this is a great interview to help inspire everyone. And if you need more inspiration, then someone like you is really going to help motivate you. Check it out. It's going to be opening up in theaters April 2nd. Do not miss it. It is the first feature film from Karen Kingsbury, but I'm sure it's not the last. Are we already writing our second film?
We had a storyboard moment about it already. Yes. So we're pretty excited. It was our DP and our director and our line producer. We sat around the table and we said, here are 3 books that could be an option. Some of it'll depend on budget. And we think, if someone like you does as well as we expected to do, then, we may be looking at doing more of the the higher budget one. So we're excited.
Can Sarah return? Is it even
I
possible?
know.
How are we
Actually, those were my words, because I'm telling you, actors out there that are looking to, how do I do it? How do I make a break? Like, hopefully you've been taking notes on what Sarah isn't saying, because she exudes joy and gratitude. It's like alive in her. And so she comes to the table not like, okay, this is my 18th audition this week and nothing's booked. That's going to make you feel jaded. That's going to make you look sad and tired and old and just like not ready to take on a role. She comes with a childlike joy. And I mean, find that wherever you can find that, be inspired by what you're seeing that Sarah's not saying, because that's what's booking her.
I love all the love in this moment. I really do. I cannot wait for your next film. If you need any extras or any additional actors, you know where to contact Karen Kingsbury, because she's got her own production company. I'm wishing the both of you all the best with this film. Someone Like You, opening up in theaters April 2nd. And I guess we can follow the both of you as your career starts to blossom and get even bigger. Thanks so much for making the time to be with us here on the Working Actor on Casting Workbook. And thanks to all of you who are tuning in. Thank you, Karen. Thank you,
so much.
Thanks, Natasha. Thank you so much.